Okay, so what I'm going to be teaching you all about is about antibiotics, what happens if you take too much, and what happens if you take a course of antibiotics and you don't finish the entire course out, and what's going to happen. Okay, so first off, why taking too much of antibiotics is a bad thing. So if the doctor prescribes 25 milligrams twice a day, and let's say you take 50 or 100, what happens is the concentration of some of those drugs may also kill some of your good cells, okay? So, yeah, you're going to kill some of the bad cells, and before I start taking some away, the pink are the good cells. Those are the ones we need, or the bacteria, we need them to survive, okay? But the white ones, those are the ones that are bad. They're the ones causing the infections. We want those to go away. So, if you start taking them, okay, but you're taking it at a much higher dosage, you're going to kill some of the bad ones, but you're also going to kill some of the good ones, okay? And the reason that is because you have too much of the chemicals in that antibiotics at such a high dosage that it's going to kill some of your good cells as well. So what ends up happening is you don't have enough of your good bacteria left if you take too much antibiotics. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's put these all back. Okay. So now we're going to talk about what happens if you don't finish your prescribed amount of antibiotics. Okay. So let's say you're supposed to take these antibiotics twice a day for 7 days. Okay, so you feel really sick at first, so you take the right amount and you're taking it twice a day, and slowly you start killing off the bad bacteria. Okay? Occasionally, yeah, you might take a good one, but for the most part, the good bacteria are going to live and you're killing the bad ones. Okay. So now let's say it gets to about day 3 and you're feeling a lot better, but you're just like, okay, you know what, I'm going to keep taking my antibiotics. But day 4 comes and you're like, man, I feel so much better. I'm not sick anymore. I've killed all the bad bacteria. I'm not going to take my antibiotics. Because you feel a lot better. Okay, so our good cells, for the most part, have definitely survived. But the problem is now some of the strongest bacteria that are most resistant to the antibiotics, they've survived. So now, as a result, because you haven't killed them because you didn't take the dose long enough, they start to replicate. Which just means they're making more of them. They keep splitting. They keep splitting. Until you have so much of the bad ones than you even did kind of in the first place. Okay. So do y'all see how that could be a bad thing if you don't finish out the amount you're supposed to take?
Yeah.
Okay. Do y'all have any questions for me?
How do antibiotics affect the bacteria compared to like a virus?
Okay, so what a virus is a virus goes into one of our own cells, and it goes in and uses some of our cell's own machinery to replicate. So it goes in, and it's like, it comes in, and it replicates itself with your own stuff. And then eventually it kills your own cell. Okay, what's different is bacteria cells, they're their own cells. They don't use our cells to remake themselves. So it's hard to make an antibiotic or something that fights a virus when it's hard to differentiate between this is a healthy human cell and this is an infected human cell. But it's really easy to tell the difference between bacteria cells and human cells because our cell walls are different, some of the proteins we have are different, and they produce different chemicals. So it's hard to tell the difference between an infected human cell and a non-infected human cell, which would be a virus, versus bacteria and non-bacteria. Any other questions? No? Okay. So I'm going to ask you all a few questions. They're relatively easy, just to make sure you'll understand everything. So, why is taking too much of an antibiotic a bad thing, or taking over your dosage?
You killed a lot of the good cells as well.
Yeah, definitely, exactly. And we need those to survive and do a lot of good processes in the body. So, second question, why is stopping a course of antibiotics short a bad thing?
Because you leave a lot of the stronger cells to multiply, and instead of getting rid of them, you got rid of all the smaller cells, but not the stronger cells, and then they just grow bigger and bigger.
Exactly. So, kind of like what you were just saying, what type of antibiotics survive, or what type of bacteria survive the antibiotics, and what type of bacteria die? Which ones are they? Which ones survive? You just kind of said it.
Yeah, the stronger ones.
Yeah, exactly. So why is that important? Why is that kind of a problem that the stronger ones survive?
Because those are the ones that affect you more. Those are the ones that are able to multiply and hurt your body more than the smaller ones that you already killed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they're harder to kill because we didn't kill them the first time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot more dangerous to have that. Okay. Any new questions? Anything? No? Okay. So if one of y'all wants to explain real quick, a recap, what happens if you take too much antibiotics? Anybody want to answer? What you got?
Yeah. So if you take too much antibiotics, it kills off the good cells, the good bacteria in your body that we need every day. And it does kill off most of the bad bacteria, but you're left with nothing to fight everything else.
Yeah, and do the things that we needed those bacteria to do anyways in the first place, right? Okay, so who can explain what happens if you stop taking your antibiotics short of what you're supposed to, and why that's bad?
The stronger bacteria survives, and then once you stop taking the antibiotics, they can start reproducing, and then you're left with something a lot stronger than what you originally started with.
Exactly, and they're harder to fight. All right, good job.
Thanks for teaching us.
Thank you for teaching us. This is the best day.